Today, I call upon all Papua New Guinea indigenous people who own land and property in this country to pay very close attention. I put out on the People's Anti-Corruption Movement Facebook page wall the billboard for our Indigenous Landowners Conference on the 3rd to the 7th of November, which is in 2 weeks' time. Now, to date, we have not received any response from any of your members from Parliament, including all the governors or regional members and your members from the districts. And we hope that in the next few days they will inquire with us to register themselves as participants, because the whole purpose of this Indigenous Landowners National Conference is to call upon Parliament and call upon all members of Parliament to amend the laws, amend the fraudulent British laws, and to restore all ownership rights to the people of this country. Since the British came here and expropriated Papua and later New Guinea in 1883 and 1884, came their laws, and the laws on the ownership of land and the ownership of natural resources such as fisheries and forestry, minerals like gold and copper and oil and gas and all other things of value. And their laws were forced upon us and were overarching, so they could take out our land and lease it for public purpose without paying for anything. And they came at a time when we did not understand their language, and we were not literate, we could not read and write in English, so they had used the barrel of the gun to the maximum to force us to sign what they call a native transfer of land to the Crown, and we did that with very little or no compensation at all. And the British have used that land for a long time until 1975. On independence, they transferred that land from the Crown to the state. All our land for public purpose, such as the building of towns and roads and cities and dams and institutions or agriculture. And of course they used the British laws to go into extracting precious minerals such as gold and copper from our traditional customary land. And to this day they have effectively manipulated our politicians and our government administrators to hang on to the land that they have obtained under the native transfer to the Crown for lease, a 99-year lease. And since they have left and the 99 years left, most of the land has not come back to other people of this country, and they continue to deprive us. Now, the the purpose of this conference, and it is entirely up to all of you Papua New Guineans to pay attention and to attend this conference with your parliamentarians or without your parliamentarians. And we want to get it right and once and for all, because let's look at it this way. We have never been party to all the British laws that came into force when they arrived here. And we did not, before independence or after independence, go into specifying which laws were to be accepted and which laws were not to be accepted. There was no referendum consulted, there was no consultation between the people of the indigenous customary landowners of this country and the British government or the independent state of Papua New Guinea, which became self-governing after the 16th of September 1975. From Somare to Marape, there has been no consultation on the importance of laws regarding real property. Real property meaning land and natural resources. So we have only adopted and accepted what was written by the British without questioning it, as if It was God-given. We, as inhabitants, indigenous inhabitants of the land for eternity and since time began, we have allodial title to the land and to its properties. That is not to be questioned, that is by any authority on earth. We have been here, we are indigenous people, we own the land and we still continue to own the land. So if anything that is to be entered into, if the land is to be purchased, acquired or used in any way, they have to consult the landowners first. If there is any exploration or any extraction of minerals or oil and gas, they have to consult the landowners and not the government. The government is not the owner of land and resources in this country. It's owned by the people. And the use or the misuse of the word state to represent us by a few corrupt politicians and public administrators is something that we do not accept. And we have to come to that conference to agree to pass amendments on the ownership of land and natural resources in this country to our members of parliament. And the onus is now upon you to ask your respective member of parliament to come with you to the conference so you will know the status of the land after the British have come and gone and have used all sorts of laws to deprive us of the wealth that has been generated from our land. You look at let's look back in history and look at what has happened on the Panguna mine in Bougainville. Theory Tao, a local Bougainvillean, had taken this question to the Victorian courts in Melbourne way back in 1969. And it took the Victorian courts a long time to pass a decision on the future or the ownership of land and resources on the island of Bougainville. It only came into being after Theory Tao had passed on and the Edward Mabo case was ruled successfully in favor of the landowners, the indigenous people as having a right to the land and the waters, the fishing rights. Now we cannot continue to rest on the Mabo case and other cases in Australia. Our laws are direct and straight. We were never consulted on the ownership of land and natural resources in this country. There was no survey done by the colonial administration or the current government to determine which tribes own which land in this country and which families own land in this country. They had lumped everything together under the territory of Papua New Guinea. They had used the British laws to pick and choose what they wanted, especially in terms of exploiting our minerals and our oil and gas. So this conference is very important for anyone who thinks he's a landowner, who's got a right to a land. Like we constantly reminded the people of Motu, Kotabu and Koyari people in Port Moresby and the Ai people of Lae to come forward to attend the conference, because here we want to get straight once and for all on the 99-year lease imposed on us. We do not know when it's going to expire, and there was no rearrangement of that deal at independence. They've ignored it, and they've continued to exploit the fraudulent laws introduced by the British to deprive us of our rights to land. So that's all going to come to an end next month. On the 3rd to 7th November, we're having a week-long conference at Granville for different speakers to come along, and we anticipate all our members of parliament to come there to represent your people's right insofar as land is concerned, because the British laws have basically deprived and denied the landowners for 100 years. And many people in resource project areas like Panguna mine have suffered. The Octady mine, which went on for extended the mine lifeline for another 25 years or so, did not get the consent of all landowners concerned. And we also know from experience how BHP Billiton had abused the government in dumping wastage into the open river system, and it they moved the hand of government to make laws to give them indemnity, and that left us with a lot of catastrophic environmental damage. And the politicians had played funny games with the O'Neill regime expropriating the mine. We do not know how it expropriated the mine for whatever public purpose, because expropriation can only take place when there is a public purpose and not a business area like Okteri, where the land and the resources, especially the water resources and all belongs to the landlords and people live on it. So there are a host of issues that we need to address, and we are proposing amendments to Parliament to restore all ownership rights back to the indigenous people of this country. So I am appealing to all you landowners to talk to your parliamentary representatives to come forward and attend this conference to make your position clear. And we will pass a resolution at the national conference once and for all that all land and natural resources in this country belong to the indigenous people of Papua New Guinea. Thank you for watching me today. John Endemongo Kua, President of the People's Anti-Corruption Movement.